Hello, everybody. Welcome. Today is February 18th, 2025, and it is a special day for a release of something. Actually, I don't think it gets released for another day or two, but I pre-ordered this online in Japan, and it got shipped. It was japan.cd or cd.japan, I forget. They also have it on amazon.japan, but I had trouble with my order on there. I don't know if that's coming. So I ordered it on the Japan CD. And this here is the anniversary edition of Billy Joel's Streetlife Serenade. Not only is it just the anniversary edition, but it has the quad mix in there. Hopefully remastered better, not sure, better or worse. And a multi-channel stereo mix from what I understand as well, and some other stuff in here, some other goodies as a release. So we're gonna do an unboxing and take a look. I'm in the middle of a transitional phase right now with my house under some construction and work, but I won't be able to listen to this on anything but this cheap karaoke machine that's got one speaker, so I won't endure you with the pain. But just as a recap in history, so Streetlife Serenade, one of the most underrated albums by Billy Joel. Eventually, it took a while, but it did earn a Platinum Sales Award. This year is an issue to WBAB WBAB radio station. So that's the Platinum for that, which I acquired a while back. But originally, the album was released in vinyl format, as you see here. Actually released in vinyl and 8-track. Cassette wasn't yet a big thing, but it did get released on cassette a little later on. But this was released, like you see here, 1974, October 11th. This is the actual vinyl from that release. It was also released, and very few people are aware of this, but was also released in a quadraphonic issue as well. So this is the quadraphonic release on vinyl from back in 74. Now I know the date, October 11, 74, for the initial release. It's a little more than 50 years, so I guess we're a few months late, but that's okay. So what is it today? February, October, November, December, January, February. It's 4 months. So celebrating 50 years of this album. And for the second time ever, you'll get to have it in digital format. And why do I mean the second time ever? Because in 2015, the quadraphonic tapes were provided to Audio Fidelity, and they issued a limited edition of this CD with a quadraphonic mix on it, as well as a stereo mix. Actually, a limited edition, and they're numbered. This is a sealed copy, number 67 of I forget how many, but I have an open copy somewhere. So that is the quadraphonic and stereo editions on that digital release from 2015. But also, going back to the original vinyl release of Streetlife Serenade, it was also released on 8-track. The original, so just going through a little history of it all. The original 8-track looked like this. It was on an Ampex cassette cartridge, 8-track cassette cartridge, and it looked like this because Family Productions did have the rights, the initial rights after the deal was made to Columbia Records, that they would be able to put the first issues out of Billy's albums on cassette and 8-track. I think it was through this album, actually. It was Cold Spring. Obviously, there was no Columbia deal then. Piano Man and Streetlife Serenade were all initially released on Ampex cassettes. So if you want the first issue of the release on cassettes, I also have this somewhere in my boxes. I have this on the cassette, the actual Ampex. There's an Ampex cassette version of this as well, the audio cassette, and that comes in a little plastic slip case a black slide-in slipcase, not like the ones, the clamshells that you're familiar with opening, not like this one. So this is a more current version of the cassette that was later released by Columbia, not Family Records on their Ampex media. So these are stereo versions of Streetlife Serenade, but they also had the quadraphonic version of Streetlife Serenade on 8-track. I have an open copy here, and I managed to find myself a sealed copy. Quite interesting. What's ironic here is the list price was $7.95, and then I guess it got put in the back on the discount rack and ended up at $6.89 back at Wally's Stereo Tape City. Very interesting. So that is a nice piece of history there. What's unique about the quadraphonic 8 tracks versus the quadraphonic LPs is how the encoding actually works. So on the 8-track mechanism, the 8-track cartridges, there's actually 4 audio tracks for each song. It's a two channel tracks. Actually, an 8-track cartridge is actually, it has 4 tracks on it on one side, and then the way the head reader will work is it's actually going to play all 4 tracks instead of 2 tracks, and then kind of hitting that little program button to flip to the next program. So yeah, so you get the full 4 channels of audio. That's discrete audio on the actual 8-track cartridges. You never got that on the vinyl issue. Reason being is because vinyl inherently, the grooves are 2-track. There's no 4 tracks in real vinyl. The way the vinyl the way the vinyl quadraphonic works, I don't know why I keep calling it 4-track. The way the quadraphonic sound works on a vinyl is the needle of a qualifying cartridge and styli and turntable and audio equipment that can process it all. The needle is usually in an elliptical shape, diamond styli that will read deep into the groove of the album and pick up the higher frequencies. I think they're like in the 40 to 50,000 kilohertz range, something you can't hear, but that frequency that the needle picks up then gets moved to your quadraphonic stereo receiver or decoder, whatever you have back in the day, and then that outputs it to 4 channels. You would have 2 in the front, 2 in the rear. So those 4 channels would be decoded by basically a 2-channel stylus, with the higher frequencies providing the rear channel signals, and being it's all really just capacitors and resistors that does all the work. There's no digital back in the day. So that's the quadraphonic versus the LP vinyl versus the 8-track. Now, let's move forward and talk about Japan for a second here, because the reason I bring up Japan is because that's where this came from that we're going to unbox. So in Japan, they usually have better quality manufacturing process and more detail to how they package their items, and specific details. Sometimes they include more stuff, booklets and things. That's why we're getting this Japan release and not US release, most likely, because they like to release nice stuff. So this is the Japan version of the 2-track of Streetlife Serenade from back in the day, and has the OBI strip on it, as you can see. And we're going to see how this stacks up to the release that I'm going to unbox right now. So just like the Piano Man release, which I covered a year ago, or maybe it was, how long ago was it? It was a little longer than a year ago. Just like that release, they really did a good job at trying to duplicate what their release was in Japan. So here we go. And I have the box, and I don't have a scissor on me. I had one, I don't know where I put it. Give me, oh, where do we get down? Get down, come on, get down. Here we go. Got something right here. And we're gonna use this to open it up. These are Ruby's nail clippers. Don't try this at home. Okay. And I'm excited to see what we have in store from Japan. Again, they make really quality records, CDs there. The first CDs manufactured were in Japan. That was the 35 DP1 and DP2. You had DP2 was The Stranger. That was the second CD in the lineup, and then 35 DP1, 52nd Street. So yes, 52nd Street. Got my receipt. It's from CD Japan. And here we go. There it is. Let's take a look. And we got bubble wrap. Doesn't look like there's any promo cards. Like, I guess last time the Amazon had a promo card with you turn the lights back on. No promo. But let's take a look at what we got here. All right. Very nice. Here you have it. First look at the quadraphonic release. Nice big packaging. It's bigger than the CDs. This is the mini CD released about a decade ago. Maybe it's more than that, 15 years ago. I forget the release date of these. But this was Japanese release of the CD, Streetlife Serenade, as you can see. And the OBI strip on the CD, which they did, and this was actually the Japanese mini LP, they call it. So it's like in a cardboard case, and you could find this similar thing, similar cardboard case on the complete albums box set of CD that came out. So that's this here. Actually, I think it was 2004, November 2004 that came out. I'm a little off on the dates. All right, so you can see as I show it up close, the OBI that they replicated from here to here, and I'll pull up the Japanese so you can see of the vinyl release is right here. So if we put these all together, you can see they did a really good job going from the vinyl to the mini LP release about 20 years ago, and then to this, which is the 50th anniversary edition. Very nice job so far. Just taking a quick look. They pay a lot of good attention to detail. Little known fact, the picture on the back of the Streetlife Serenade album, Billy had just had his, I believe his wisdom tooth removed right before the shoot. So his cheeks were a little swollen. He revealed that in a recent interview. But that's a little piece of, so yeah. Everything looks pretty good, lined up. There's some extra stuff on here on the release, but let's open this up and see what they did. All right, so as I open it up, this is what it looks like here. All right, we have, I guess, a picture there of Billy there. The additional OBI strip. This looks like probably what would have been part of the press kit. Yeah, this little mini press kit. We'll dive into that in a second with a photo of Billy. This here is what the first single of the album was, The Entertainer. And that's what the cover of the first single was, the picture sleeve cover of The Entertainer, and Mexican Connection on the back. And so they give you a little replica of its actual, that's pretty interesting. It's an actual sleeve. It opens up, but interestingly, the Japanese version opens up sideways. So you have that, and over here, what do we got? Another one. So this is another version of that single cover. Very interesting. And then, of course, we have the Root Beer Rag and Roberta single. So these are all jackets of picture sleeves, basically, of what the 45 would be in the exact size of that 45, what it would be. Actually, it looks a little smaller. I'll have to double check that later. And then you go Los Angelinos and She's Got Away. Nice little picture sleeve of that with the Japanese. That's the Japanese release, of course. And then what's really nice is, so this I was going to see quite interesting. They include this, which you won't find in the US release of the vinyl, but the little liner notes with some pictures and Japanese and liner notes. But in the actual release on vinyl, that was included in the vinyl release. So if I pull this out, you'll see in here the big size of that is right here. So for those of you that collect, the Japanese editions are really nice to collect because they usually include really nice liner notes and additional things in there as well. So here's the full LP version of that. As you can see, that's the full LP version of the liner notes, some pictures and whatnot. The music, everything. And then you have the same thing, can be found in the mini edition. Quite unique. And then they include, here we go, a quadraphonic booklet, as you can see, with everything in Japanese and of course English as well. So this would be what would be included in the quadraphonic release from Japan. I don't have the Japan quadraphonic LP, but yeah. And it looks like what's also, okay, so as we kind of divvy to the back of this, I'm just going to put all this aside here so we can see the media content that we got. So far we got this here. I'm just going to put this aside. And of course, one of the nice bonuses that you're going to get with your release is the digital version of Live at Great American Music Hall, which has not yet been released on digital media physical format. It's released on vinyl as Record Store Day and as part of the Volume 1 of the vinyl box set that came out a few years ago. But let's take a look at that. So here is the bonus. You get the CD of Great American Music Hall there. And here's the back. So looks pretty much just like the cover, a little bit different on the front of as the cover of the vinyl would have been. And we take this out. And this is what it looks like here with the CD mounted to a piece of cardboard with the little center hub holding the CD. Very nice. And by the way, this is manufactured with their BS CD2. BS CD2 format, which is the blue. It's basically their blue spec. BS doesn't stand for bullshit, but I sometimes like to call it bullshit. It's marketing. But BS CD2 is the blue spec version 2. And what blue spec is basically, for those of you that have seen that out and about in the Japan world, blue spec is the process of encoding the foils in the disc with the Blu-ray DVD process. In the old Red Book process for the old school CDs, the holes were a little different, a little bigger maybe, the foil's different. I don't know the exact science or mechanics behind the foil that's inside the plastic with all the holes that make the zeros and ones. But I know the point of it is the way it's done with the way the laser makes the holes in the sheet for the Blu-ray process is that it is less prone to errors on reading on the CD player. Really, if you do the research, the real world benefit of that is if you have a really scratched up CD. Rental DVDs were big with that, so people rent the DVDs and they scratch them and then they don't work anymore, because the scratches can cause some inabilities for the laser to read the foil in the plastic. The scratches are in the plastic, not the foil, so it kind of deflects the light. But apparently with the BS CD, the Blue Spec CD2, that helps eliminate errors on poor plastic media, scratched up media or whatever. But if you keep your CDs in good shape, you shouldn't have a problem anyway. Audibly, there shouldn't be any difference, to be honest with you, because audibly, it's the same media, other than if they remastered this or did anything in the mastering process. So here is the quadraphonic disc sleeve, and looks exactly like the quadraphonic disc sleeve that came with. See where I did it? Put it. My quadraphonic vinyl is that this one? Nope. Where did I put the quad? I don't know where I put it, but I had it somewhere. So this is the quadraphonic sleeve. Looks just like the original vinyl retail sold 50 years ago and 4 months ago for quadraphonic. So it shows you a little marketing of all the different stereo receivers and speakers and turntables. I actually have a turntable cartridge that will reproduce quadraphonic at the frequency required. It's a Grace, if those of you looking for the cartridge, it's a Grace F9E cartridge. I have that on a Grace tone arm that's a 707, which will reproduce those high frequencies to the decoding process. So that there is the CD, quadraphonic, and it says Sony Music, quadraphonic, gold label as opposed to red label. All the quadraphonic vinyls had a gold label on it, so they did a very good job with that detail. So that's it. I'm really excited to hear this. So this should include both stereo and the 4-channel quadraphonic mixes, the actual discrete channels, not the vinyl 2-channel phantom quadraphonic. So that should be quite interesting. So there you have it. If you haven't ordered this yet from Japan, I recommend you do so, cd.japan or Amazon Japan, and you could order that. So, and I believe also there was another site, but they were really high on shipping at the time, which was, I forget which one it was. Anyway, here you go. Cheers, enjoy, and that's it. Adios.